I've just moved.
They're still doing interviews and that.
I've just moved your
I hate
coat.
interviews.
Do you? I've kept the record on.
I love interviews.
Which one do you want now? Which you choose?
You choose.
Now, what you
Oh,
choose?
you get the red one.
See, you know when I went to the boxer show, everyone
What?
chose the red one, and then I've come to the
No,
Matchroom.
you are October Red. You deserve the red microphone. You
But I
deserve
think-
whatever you want, but you definitely deserve the red microphone.
Welcome back, Frank Smith.
How are you?
We usually do our lives, but you know what? It's nice to actually have you here.
Problem is you
the
can't
flesh.
edit. Like with this, we can edit out all the stuff I say wrong, whereas in the lives, I get in trouble.
You never say anything wrong, and you never ask for anything to be edited out, to be fair. Anyway, we're here in Nottingham.
We are.
Talk to us about Dalton Smith, a fighter that I'd got a lot of time for, to be fair. And you were quite rightly so said when he was sat there on the chairs and you in the middle of them. He's had a little bit of a stop, start, but he's carried on through it. We're here. There's a potential fight that may be made down the line with somebody that's fighting in March. But yeah, Dalton Smith.
Yeah, look, I think Dalton's career, every time you've seen him out, he's shown so many improvements. And even with the stop-start periods he's had with injury,
Yeah.
he's always looked good. He's never seemed to have that momentum cause him a problem. You know, it was hard after the Zepeda fight because it was such a tremendous win. And a win where many people thought it was too early for him as well. You know, a lot of people thought, like, I remember thinking around the whole, because that was the time of the Adam Azim piece. And my view is, they all waited to decide whether to pull him out because they thought Zepeda would beat him.
Do you still hold that opinion as well?
That's my view.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would have done it earlier. Dalton's a special fighter. And, you know, Saturday, he looks to become European champion. It's something he's pushed us for years. He's wanted to win all the belts. This is his opportunity to do that. And then after that, he's WBC number 2. I believe he'll go and fight for a world title within the next 12 months.
Is the fighter... There's a fighter there. Is it Puello?
Yeah, Puello is fighting
Thank you.
Sandor Martin
That's
March
it.
1st for the WBC.
Yep.
Devin Haney's WBC champion in recess as well.
Right.
There's lots going on in the division, not just with the WBC, but a lot of big fights happening, a lot of talk. You know, Jack Castrol fights on Feb 15th against Arnold Barboza for the WBO interim. I think Teofimo eventually will move up, and that will give the winner of that the full championship status. Richardson Hitchens, who obviously beat Liam Parrow in December, he's going to have a defence as well. So many opportunities over the next year, and it's an exciting time for the 140 division, especially for us with the whole host of talent we promote there.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. One of the things he fought, obviously, we mentioned Jack Castrol. He fought Prograis. I thought
Yep.
Prograis had retired, but I'm sure
No,
I
he's
saw his
fighting
name.
Duarte.
There you
Yeah,
go.
on the Golden Boy show. Yeah.
Right, okay. The mix-up then, one of the next fight I want to talk to you about is obviously Conor Walker versus horrible Harry Scarf.
Yeah.
A fight that's, I don't know, potentially going under the radar. How do you see that fight going?
Look, I think it's a brilliant fight. I think two different styles. You know, Conor Walker is someone who's going to come and bring all action. He's been involved in some of the best fights of recent, like I've been at. You know, when you look back at that Lewis Crocker fight, and Lewis Crocker now going on to fight for a IBF final eliminator for the world title.
Card.
You know, like when you think of that, I think Harry's had more experience with
Yes.
higher level opponents, but you know, fighters can only prove it as they move up in those ranks. I think it's going to be a tremendous fight. I think Conor's got to go out there and put it on Harry. You know, and I think we're going to see, as you say, it's a bit of a sleeper, but a tremendous fight. And also the Ellie Scotney fight as well, because Ellie brings action all the time, and she's in against a mandatory who's actually bringing some energy. If that, you know, like we see
knockouts aren't bad either as well.
we see so many mandatories over time who, not saying they don't deserve to be in that position, because that's the way it works, but they don't really drive the opponents to be up for that fight. And this is a fight Ellie Scotney's got to be up for. And then after that, she's going to focus on unifications.
When you look at Mia as an opponent for Ellie, do you see it as, like you said, the matchups, but do you see it as like a genuine potential 50-50? Obviously, you're going to back Ellie. You know the pedigree that she comes from. Mia, I know, is from New Zealand, but I don't really know too much about her. But when you look at her record, I think she's just come off a TKO win. She's going to bring, like you said, the fire, but talk to us about the fight itself.
Yeah, look, I think Ellie is undoubtedly number one in the division. She's Ring Magazine champion. Yeah. I believe she's favourite in the fight, but I believe she's in with an opponent who's live and going to come. It's not a fight where she's just going through the motions. She can't overlook this fight, and that's the focus. I'm not going to sit here and say it's necessarily a 50-50, but it's a tough fight for Ellie Scotney. I think Ellie Scotney is the best in the division. I think we would love to have continued to make unification fights if they were possible. The IBF ordered the mandatory, obviously, and that's why we see this here. But it's a great fight, and it's a fight that Ellie has to be 100% up and ready for.
Talking about Ellie Scotney, I'm going to move on to the McGuigan gym, because obviously Craig Richards, he's now fighting out on the Crocker undercard. Not really last minute, because you've got a while for it. But talk to us about how that fight happened, because I thought there was potentially other names in the mix for Craig, but not one to turn down fights, one of the Matchroom faithfuls. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, look, one of the fights we were looking at for a while was Anthony Yard. Yard, as he said in one of the interviews Eddie sort of got into, was he didn't want to fight Craig Richards. I don't know.
Sorry, I've missed that. You was actually looking to make a fight between
Anthony Yard and Craig Richards.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was one we were looking at to see if it was possible. Yard said he didn't want to fight Craig Richards because of the relationship they've got, friends of old, I guess.
Okay.
But, this is a great fight. Look, the good thing about Craig, he's always ready, he's always active. But he also knows after the Willie Hutchinson loss, he needs to prove himself.
Yeah.
And he also needs to perform. Look, Willie Hutchinson is a very good fighter, but I don't think you saw the best of Craig Richards in that fight. I don't think it was the Craig Richards he believed the best he can give. And I think he knows he needs to go in there and deliver a big performance against McCrory. And I think you'll see that. And I think that will then set up some big fights in the light heavyweight division for Craig. Yeah,
that is interesting to know. Like he said, he's took the fight. I'm going to move on. I'm going to carry on in the McGuigan gym. I spoke to the lovely Caroline Dubois. And Caroline, I think, at
She's
the
a
same
big talker
time...
now. And on social media.
We saw the tweets that were going backwards and forwards, but coincidentally, when I did speak to Caroline, I asked about Beatrice Ferreira, and she said that's definitely a fight that she wants. That's going to be the toughest challenge, but she wants to fight her later on down the line because she believes it's a headline fight and not a co-main.
It could be a headline fight now.
Talk to me.
It can be a headline fight now. By the way, I'm not sitting here. I'm not Caroline Dubois' promoter.
I know you're not.
Or team. So
I know.
I can understand they're saying it's a hard fight, but we promote Bia. Bia wants that fight. Bia will have that fight tomorrow. So she's ready. I can't talk on Caroline's behalf.
Okay.
But Bia's ready. Bia is ready for that fight tomorrow.
So, all right then. So hypothetically then, and I'm going to ask because, like I said, that's the name that's been thrown about, and that's why I threw it into the conversation alongside Terry Harper, but we can come on to that. How could we possibly make that fight happen as, like you said, a main event now?
Can be a main event. Look, if Dubois is as big, they're putting her out to be.
She's got the WBC belt, defended it.
Yeah, and they've made a big push around her. Why can't it be a main event?
Okay. Well, I'll put that back out to Ben. I'll speak to him next week, and obviously I'll ask him about it.
By the way, I'm not also sitting here like Terry. I know they made a play for Terry Harper, but Terry said that they've been going back and forward on social media.
7 weeks.
Yeah, 7 weeks for a training camp for a fight of that size. Also, at the same time, she looks at the money that was offered to Tasha Jonas previously for fight. So everyone knows the marketplace, and that's her prerogative. And it's a hard fight as well, Caroline Dubois. So she wants to get paid. Caroline's a brilliant fighter, and she's only going to get better and better as well, just like Bia is. So it doesn't matter whether you fight Bia now or in a few years' time. I believe Bia wins.
Alicia Baumgardner was another name that was mentioned as well. Are you still managing it, Alicia? What's that?
No, not right now. She's a free agent.
Right. Okay.
We've had discussions previously. Yeah. I think she'll go another route. She had her last fight with another promoter. Okay. But we had some great nights, some great shows with her. But I think right now she'll go another route.
Okay. With Terry Harper then, what's going to be next for her? She put on a really good performance against Ant Crowler's fighter. I'm terrible with names sometimes. What's her name? Ant Crowler's fighter.
Rhiannon Dixon.
Rhiannon Dixon. Apologies, Rhiannon. I am terrible with names. So what is...
Lucky I'm good with names, isn't it?
Well,
really?
she's your fighter, so I should hope so.
I forget my own name sometimes, to be honest.
We love your humour, by the way. Never change.
The problem is sometimes people don't really see it as humour. They think I'm a bit of an arsehole.
Well,
but actually, I'm just a bit of a joker, really.
But aren't arseholes funny? Not literal arseholes, but...
I don't. Yeah, I mean, let's just sort of ride over that.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
bit, because I don't know whether ourselves are funny or not.
Yeah, Terry Harper. So what are you going to do next with her?
We got some chats this week. You know, there's talk. She's always wanted to fight at Doncaster at the football stadium.
Fair enough.
You know, and there's a potential show that could go on there that could make sense for her. So we'll see how that plays out.
What I'd like to say as well is well done for, I mean, all right, theoretically it's 3 shows because you've got the US show as well. But we started off January quite well. One of the things that, you know, I've been going on about is I don't want everyone to get caught up in Riyadh season and then it's like our country, our patriotic boxing country ends up losing out on fights. So talk to us about obviously putting on the shows, the regular shows and keeping us British greedy fans, keeping our bellies full, even though we'll always complain about something, Frank, but that's what we do, isn't it?
No, but that's the joy of life. Everyone can complain, everyone can have an opinion, but I think we know what we need to do, and I've said that on numerous occasions. When you look at the schedule, obviously we start off here on Saturday. Dalton Smith, a star for me of British boxing, someone who's going to be in the sport for a long, long time. He's 27 years old. See what he's already done. You know, with Ellie Scottney, Connor Walker on the card, a host of young talent as well. Then on the 31st of January, we got a next-gen show, George Liddard, Janae Boston, Jimmy Sains, Giorgio Vizioli, amongst a number of names. February 15th, we go to Manchester, Jack Catterall, Arnold Barboza, another subscription show on the DAZN platform. You know, WBO interim world title, and a great undercard as well. Zelfa Barrett against Jazza Dickens on there, Reece Bellotti is back out on that card as well. You know, you got Pat McCormack against Robbie Davis Jr.
Yes.
Sorry, Reece Bellotti, Michael Gomez. Skipped over when we said about names.
We do that.
You know, Connor Tudsbury's debut as well.
Yeah, congrats to Connor.
For us, Alfie Middlemiss on the card as well. Akib Fiaz back out. So many great fights on that card. March 1st, we go to Belfast. Crocker Donovan. That show's going to sell out in the next few weeks. A huge fight card. IBF final eliminator for the winner there. You know, the undercard there, as you say, Craig Richards back out. A tremendous fight there between those two guys. McCarthy against Ward as well.
Nice to see McCarthy back out.
Yeah, so like, we know what we need to do. You know,
all right, and I like that. You grab the ball by the horns.
You have to. And then March 28th, Pat Brown makes his professional debut.
Ask about him.
Headlining. You got a great undercard, which we'll announce in the next week there as well. So, you know, when you look through that schedule of shows in that 3-month period, I think it's 5 shows in 3 months.
Good.
In the UK for us. We're investing in new young fighters. We're signing new fighters all the time. We know what we need to do. And then end of April, you got the big one, the one that we've been working on for a while, and that's finally here.
Can I ask something about that? Well, I'm going to anyway.
Yeah. Might have to delete it from the interview.
No, you know, well, no, you don't like me deleting things, unlike some people. But what I will say is that fight is made. I'm happy that it's made. It's literally bittersweet. It's Marmite for some people, whatever.
But they're not going to watch it.
Well, I asked the question to those that have complained. I said, well, so you're not going to watch it then? And there's a bit of radio silence. But one of the things, and Johnny Nelson caught me off guard, and this is probably down to me not doing my homework. He was asking about the British Boxing Board around, obviously, Conor Benn. And to be fair, if I'd done my homework, so I hold my hands up there's accountability, I would have seen that Mr. Smith had put out, he hasn't got any issues with it. But I did say, when I spoke to Johnny, if the British Boxing Board of Control had a problem with it, I'm sure they would have spoke up by now.
Yeah, I've been speaking to Robert Smith most days. There can't be any issue because he's passed it. You know, he's cleared. The NADP.
There you go, Johnny Nelson.
So there can't be an issue. There's just a question mark as to whether he continues as a foreign boxer with an international license, which, you know, many Tyson Fury's done, Dillian White's done, a number of British fighters have done previously, historically, or goes back and gets a British license. And either way, there's no. It's standard, like British fighters have done it in the past, fought under foreign boxer applications. And the other thing which people don't always understand, is with boxing and the sort of approval procedure of a fight. You know, a lot of fights, like medicals, are ongoing, so you're never approved until you've got
final.
Yeah, until you've got everything cleared. So say like we make a show for March. Sure, there'll be a lot of fighters on there that don't have a full British license currently, i.e. approved license, because they've got to do the medical, they've got to do a new brain scan maybe, or they've got to do blood tests. You know, all of the medical procedures that have to be gone through. There are certain fighters who would have fought and be within the time frame where everything's still in place. You know, so it's not just is he approved right now, or is the foreign boxer? That's a process that goes on over time, and you consistently. So for this show, everyone's approved, as an example. Same in all states. Like in Vegas, the show has to be approved. The fighters all have to be approved. That's a procedure that goes through. So, but there's no issues with the fight going ahead. Robert Smith, I've been on the phone to every day, nearly, and it's a massive fight.
Yeah, it's definitely a massive fight, and one that I'm looking forward to. I've heard etc. about the rehydration, the maximum weight, the fact that obviously Conor's going to be coming up 2 weights, so that you've got to find a balance. So one fighter isn't extremely heavier than the other. The fact that it's going to be in the UK is another bonus as well. Riyadh season back in the UK. I know we had Anthony Joshua previously. When you look at potential undercard fighters, and I'm going to take this as potentially a 3 promotional, yourselves, boxer, potentially Queensbury fighters on there. Is there any names that you could potentially throw out that might be on there, or is it just way too early and I'm being a bit too intrusive?
No, it's there, but I'm not getting in trouble and saying things before my time. So hopefully we'll have news soon on it. It's a great fight card, great main event. Like, firstly, what a main event we got to look forward to, plus an unbelievable undercard as well. But I'm not getting it. I'm not Eddie.
Okay.
You might get more out of Eddie. I'm very once things are ready to announce or been announced, then I can talk about them.
It's interesting because part of the lead up, and I know I keep going back to it because obviously I watched their fathers fight. It would be nice, and I don't know if it's going to happen, if their fathers could be involved in I know His Excellency likes to put on these really good promos, these mini movies, I like to call them. Trailers. It'd be nice to see if you could get, I know there's plenty of past footage, but it'd be nice to get some recent footage if they could potentially introduce that into some of the promo as well. It'd be nice to see Senior on board with Junior, as in Eubanks.
Yeah, look, I don't know what the current plan is with that. The legacy that their fathers have and the stories of old that their father. This fight is happening because of their dads.
True.
There's a lot more of a
story.
but there's a lot more of a storyline now than there was last time. But the reality is, because of what their fathers did 25, 30 years ago, whatever the time frame was, that's why they are having this fight now. Originally, it was much more based on that. Now there is back and forth, a bit of spite, dislike, hate, whatever you want to call it, between them. The narrative, there's so many storylines. There's so many things that can be told.
So there's lots you could pick up from.
Yeah, and look, I think it would be amazing to see that. We'll see. I'm not obviously I'm not involved in Chris's boxing career in any way. Obviously with Conor, Nigel's been around for a long time. I think Chris has been very open about that side of things. One for him probably to have more of a view on, to be honest.
Finally, I just want to ask what's happening with Anthony Joshua. Seems like maybe a bit of a repeated question. I'm sorry if you are repeating yourself over it, but like I said, there's what is he doing? We saw him attend the Ring Magazine Awards. I heard that he was there and he got off pretty sharpish. He stood up with Martin Bacoli, shook hands with Alexander Usyk, etc., etc. What's he doing? Yeah,
look, a lot of people have a view on all like that kind of thing. Like, he went to the ring, and he's never been a person that's wanted to be around. When have you ever seen him calling people out, going to event? No. He's always been his own individual who's let everyone else have their. Yeah. So it's never been a focus for him. Mm-hmm. And everyone will have a view on that, but he's never changed from that perspective. Okay. For Anthony, I think we're in a place where, even regardless of results, you look at the top heavyweights in terms of commercially. I'm not saying active heavyweights in terms of performance. Anthony Joshua is the one that everyone wants to fight. That's the reality of it. And he's in that mix of Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk, Tyson Fury. And Tyson Fury is retired. Usyk's obviously in a great position as he's been undisputed champ. What he's done in the sport, whether he wants to even continue, I don't know. He's done everything you could want in the sport.
Yeah.
But AJ is the fight that all these other heavyweights want, because commercially it's the biggest fight. I still want to see the Tyson Fury fight. And I think regardless of the retirement, we've seen retirement before. It's not the first time. It's not the second time. It's not the third time. I think it might be the fourth or fifth time. So I think there's a path back from that, and we'll see the fight. But let's see.
Do you think Anthony Joshua still wants to fight? Because sometimes I think and this is just my personal opinion, sometimes I think that maybe he doesn't want to, but there's like a lot of like pressure around him that says, look, you've still got life in the old dog, yeah, you know what I mean? But I don't know if I just feel that he just really wants to have the fight.
Look, I think
Be out there still.
the only person who can tell you is him.
I'd love to speak to him, but
yeah,
I can't.
He's always as I've known him, he's always wanted to be better. He's always wanted.
He's a student, isn't he?
And
very studious.
It's what you do, isn't it? It's what you love. He's a fighter, and that's what he loves. And he's the only one who will be able to tell when the time is time to say, right, you know what? Because look at what he's done in his career.
Know.
And he will never, the reality is, Anthony Joshua will never get the respect for what he's done until he retires or until 20, 30, 40 years away from now.
Correct.
That's just the truth of it. Nothing's going to change that. But it's what drives him. You know, he's made a lot of money. Like, we all know that.
Does money make you lose your desire, Frank? You know, like your pockets are fat.
Not me personally, no. I've got more money. I only had £1 when I was.
Yeah.
I was. Do you know what? When I started, people never get this. I was on £8,000 a year when I started. I was on about three. I was on about £3 an hour with the hours I was working. I'm not even sure it was legal. Right? I've got to be completely honest with you. If there's a problem there, don't worry. I won't press charges. But I think money is like, everyone's got different drives and desires.
Yes.
He has made so much money. If money was the almighty goal and aim, he's not like. There's always going to be someone richer, right?
Yeah.
Some people have just got different drive. Like, my drive is to be better than everyone else and to win and keep winning. Money.
You're quite competitive then.
Not really, but I am. I kind of, as long as I know that I've done everything I can to be better than everyone else, I'm really happy with that.
Interesting.
But I also have like a 5-year goal or and it's not led by money. It's led by. There's always going to be someone better than you, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's the reality of life. Like, you have to. Some people with an ego wouldn't say that, right? But there's always going to be someone who comes in that's better than you. I think everyone's got those different goals, desires, and aims of what they want, and it's only that individual that can tell you. You know, for me, it's like, what a run. We done, you know, in 5 years' time, we done 20 odd years of the biggest shows around the world, back to back, week in, week out, in every country you can imagine. Happy days.
2022, you did like 49 shows in 1 year, or 47. I remember
That's why I look about 50. I'm 32.
Behave. You don't look 50.
Well, you know, it's the grey hairs are coming through.
Whatever.
The beard's in trouble. You can't see it on the camera.
Get Just for Men then.
You
imagine you turned up with like really dark beard.
The hairline's staying in place, but I quite like. I've shaved my hair before it went. You know what I mean?
You're one of those.
Yeah.
Quick before you're ahead.
Yeah. Because now this is the look, and now everyone will go, "Oh yeah, that's his hair, isn't it?" We can't say I've lost my hair.
I can't see that you look like you.
I've got some greys coming through though.
Yeah, this is going to end up being very interesting, but.
So,
I love your hairdo.
Thanks very much. I don't know how we got from Anthony Joshua. What drives you to my hairdo?
Well, you know what? You know. What drives you is hair. That's one of them as well. But what I will say then, and I'll ask you openly, get Anthony Joshua to come on my channel because I want to ask him all of these questions.
I'll drop him a message.
So if you can do that, I'd appreciate that because I have been chasing him, but he's been ignoring me.
I'll drop him a message.
All the best on Saturday, and no doubt we'll catch up next week because I'll be following you around a bit because you're busy in the UK.
Perfect.
People say I'm toxic, and honestly, I don't care.